Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Jason's Design Shop, where today we're going to show you step by step in 10 videos, about 10 minutes a piece. It's a series. This is one of 8 that will cover about an hour and a half of time, step by step on how to make this cookie cherry log into a table, epoxy topped, epoxy filled with a diorama inside the hole. It's going to be pretty awesome. You saw the opening. In a second you will see the opening pictures there. At the very end, the last one, there's another a completely different one that I finished that I show the pictures of that. It looks pretty cool. Before we get started, I just want to shout out and say thank you to everyone who has subscribed thus far. We're looking at 1,500 subscribers at this point. So took quite a while to get there, but we did get monetized. Pretty cool. About 9 months in, got my first payout, $100 from YouTube. That was a first after all these years and over 100 videos. So pretty slow moving channel, I must admit, but I'm doing it for the fun and for the contribution to the creators out there and all the stuff I have learned from YouTube. So it's mostly just for the fun, and I enjoy doing it. But if it can get more subscribers, that would be great. So let me just appeal. I'm not going to ask you in any of the other videos to subscribe or to click the like button or any of that. It's purely a tutorial. So maybe right now take that time to click the subscribe button, join the fun, help this video get off the ground, and tell the algorithm that you like it and it's going to take off maybe and can introduce more people to it. That would be much appreciated. I'd love that. Anyways, let's get started on this video. Hope you enjoy it. Also, another cool thing that happened this year was we got our first sponsorship. Wonderblade reached out and liked one of my videos on grinding and cutting a pipe. Got like 40,000 views, and so they sent me the blade. I tested it and I made another video with it, cutting all kinds of products, and I'll definitely be using that in the future for cutting and grinding wood and all kinds of stuff. It's a pretty good all-around blade, so you can go back and check that video out. And so I just shout out to them for being the first, and we'll use their product and put it in the description anytime I use it in a video. Thanks to Wonderblades. Well, anyways, let's get started on this video and have a good time. It's gonna be fun. If you want to see how I made this, stick around. I'm going to show you my whole process, and they're going to be even better. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Jason's Design Shop, where you have come to the right place if you want to learn how to take a stump cut, which we're going to call a cookie from here on out. That's what we call it in woodshop, and turn it into an end table or a coffee table or some kind of beautiful round log table. So this is the first project of the year. Totally excited about that. Wheeling 4 of these into the garage and the wood shop where we can get started. We got a little bonus one on there, a little round one. We're going to do 2 of those as well. I don't know that I'll show that in this process. But if you want to learn how to do this step by step, it's a longer video. We're going to show you the whole process. So let's get started with flattening, the process of flattening it using a router sled. So I'm not going to show you how to make the router sled, but it's a lot of videos out there that can show you how to do it. And this is my simple setup. It's got 2 little metal rails that it slides on, and the router sits there in the middle, and we'll go back and forth and flatten the top of the log there. First thing I like to do is take off a lot of the stem sticking out and things like that. Usually don't have much of that on a stump, but sometimes the upper part might get into it. Put some paste wax on the inside of anything that's touching that's going to be rubbing. You want it to slide really well. So that's where the router will be. I want it sliding well, but also the bottom on the rails. Put some there too. It's really going to help it slide better. And you don't want it grabbing and getting stuck. That could be frustrating and affect your quality, and we'll talk about that later on. So what I'm doing here is drilling down around the edge, not the log, but the shims that are lifting up the log so they won't move. And then underneath, between that and the log, I can add little shims to slowly bring it up. And I'll show you what shims that I use in just a minute. You'll find that it's the cheap way to go. So you need to pull out your collet. You're going to want a nice big bit. The 1/4 inch there, not the, the 1/2 inch bit going in there, not the 1/4. because it's going to do a lot of work. And I've done a couple of these already, and it's still sharp as can be. So these things last quite a while. Here we go. We're just finishing the first pass. You'll notice I started slow at the beginning. It was burning. That's what those dark lines are. But then gotta get into a rhythm. You're gonna want to work it out, figure out what word you're using, how much of a bite you can take, what kind of rhythm you need to go so it doesn't burn and doesn't have tear out. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. That makes you have to sand more later on if you get a lot of tear out. But I do the first side, so get that done and start with your smoothest side down so you can get a clean top, and then flip it over and now you have a pretty flat surface. So you're trying to create two parallel sides, the top and the bottom. So the first round is just take off. These things warp, even though that one's like 4 inches thick. They could warp and bend. You have the edges were high on this side, but the middle was low, and also how well it was cut with your chainsaw. And so, yeah, here we go. We got to do multiple passes, many passes to get it down. I think I do like 4 passes till it's finally taking a bite across the whole thing all the way through, and it finally dug too much, and I popped that circuit breaker. Annoying because it's back in the house. But got it going again, and now we're finally getting a nice bite across the whole thing. This is probably the 3rd run of it, and I did some things here on the bottom on purpose so I can explain here in video live what's going on. So check this out and pay attention. This will save you some sanding time. Okay, I want to show you something. See, most of this is really smooth, and then you'll have some lines like this. This is speckled. This is tear out. Right? The line before is fine, and the next is different. That's telling me that I'm doing something wrong. So I did this. It's the bottom. This is going to be the bottom to show you that if you take too much of a bite, if you get greedy, right? You want to move too fast. You get this kind of, the angle of the router starts coming out of the wood at a stronger angle, and it tears it out. Right, then I come out here. You can see I started to clean it up. Started taking shorter passes. I didn't want to get more, but I did get too greedy right there. Then all the way out, very, very thin passes, just the edge of it hitting, no problem, right? And of course, it started out really good too, going softly. And this is semi-rotten wood. So we might have to take all this out anyways, so we'll only be dealing with sanding some of this. We're going to sand all this enough that you won't even notice that. Alright, so now you see I'm turning it over and get my shims down there. We're going to basically put it at 90 degrees different than what it was before. So you see the burn lines there, help you see that. The red lines, we're going to go 90 degrees to that. And take another bite, and always putting the smoothest side down so it doesn't wobble and gives us the flattest register on the top for the new cut. Always cutting depth about the thickness of those shims that we're using, those wood stirring sticks. Alright, there it is. Looks great. Final bite across the whole thing. So that side is done. Cool. Yeah, thumbs up. Alright, and then throwing in one of those little bonus ones we're doing, those little flower tables. Alright, yeah, and they were pretty good. There's some cool things here I was going to show you. This is box elder wood, and inside this wood it has this stuff. And you see the red in there? This has a sap that makes it bleed red. Got this nice red limb in there. So clean up your shop. Of course, it makes a lot of sawdust doing routing, flattening, anything makes a lot of sawdust. Then we're checking for a level, right? Of course, I'm not flat on my table. I'm up on shims and stuff, and I need to bring one side up to make it flat across the whole thing. Now I'm going to show you another way. I got a new cookie I put down, and sometimes you're really messed up. You can see the bottom of the screen there. The whole ring around that is higher than the middle by quite a bit. So to quickly knock it down a little bit, you can grab your electric planer and take a big bite and just shoot off a bunch of that so it doesn't hit the bottom of your flattening jig, basically. And this guy didn't like the vibration. He came out of the crack, and we're going to try to return him to nature. I don't know what kind of spider that is. You can leave it in the comments if you know what kind of spider that is, if you're an arachnophobia type of guy and person and can tell us what that is. But it was hiding in the wood. Kind of has a Black Widow look to it, doesn't it? With a big round body. So we put him out on a tree and go catch some bugs for the summer. Be free, little man, be free. There you go. It's a little blurry, too close. All right, back to the shop. Finish this new one. So we grinded the edges with the planer, and now it lets us take a bigger bite across the whole thing instead of having to do like 4 rounds of this just to get where we are now. And this one also broke. So what can you do if it cracks? You can see the brown was already cracked and the white half on the left was connected, but it wasn't enough and it broke because these things dry out and check and crack everywhere. Well, I put 2 dowels in there as you saw and drill a 1-inch dowel and a 1-inch drill bit, wing bit, and just filled it with glue and pushed it back together. You have to figure out what cracks you want to keep open. I like to use the natural cracks to stay open, and that was a thin one that opened up, and I want to keep that closed. If it's not big enough to really accent the epoxy that we're going to put in there, then I glue it closed. We got another one later, the same problem, but we're actually going to leave it open. So you got to determine what you think is going to be best. So here we're going to finish taking out the rotten wood on the inside and deal with the curved straight edges we just made. So here comes the sanding process. Let's do it.